Hello and welcome back once again to the Wrestling Rant. Time for Raw, May 5th, 2014 from Albany, New York, the Times Union Center. Yes, I actually got the arena name for once. It's Cinco de Mayo, or Revenge of the 5th for you Star Wars fans, I guess. This episode of Raw was garbage. I feel like I took a truckload of Ambien because I am bored and tired out of my mind. The show starts, the announcers, the show starts, the Shield music hits and the three of them come out. And as they're coming out, I believe it's Michael Cole says, yes, by order of the Authority, Triple H, Dean Ambrose is going to defend his United States title here tonight in a 20-man over-the-top rope battle royal. And so that's why the Shield are coming out. Rollins and Reigns are not participating in the match itself, actually. They spend the whole match standing on the outside, just kind of cheering on Dean. But after the Shield comes out and gets in the ring, or actually I think just Ambrose gets in the ring, I think it's the Raw theme song hits, and out come the other 19 participants. And as with the Royal Rumble, I'm not going to bother writing down every little thing, just eliminations, big moves, yada yada. And this will also help to inform as to who all was in the match, because I'm not going to list them all off right now. But anyways, the match starts, of course, and it's a big clusterfuck as it usually is. This is basically a 20-man version of the Andre Battle Royal from WrestleMania. Xavier Woods gets eliminated first. Then Zack Ryder gets eliminated. And then R-Truth gets eliminated, followed by Titus O'Neil, and then Sin Cara. And then Damien Sandow gets caught on the apron by Sheamus, and Sheamus gives him the clubbing. And what ends up happening is, I think Heath Slater came out of nowhere to hit Sheamus, but Sheamus got out of the way. Slater hit Sandow, and Sandow fell off the apron, so he was eliminated. Shortly after that, they cut to a commercial break, and apparently during the commercial, Slater was eliminated. We finally get something of note. Big Show and Mark Henry, the two big guys in the Battle Royal, they knock everybody else down, and then they square off, and they're fighting for a second, and Big Show choke slams Henry. Sheamus gets up, comes out of nowhere, and brogue kicks Big Show, and everybody teams up on Big Show and throws him out of the ring, and Big Show's eliminated. And then they pick Henry up. He was still down after being chokeslammed. They pick Henry up and they throw him out too. So now Henry's been eliminated. So there go the two big guys. After that, Fandango was eliminated, quickly followed by Kofi, who was also eliminated. Goldust and Cody Rhodes were eliminated back-to-back by Ryback and Curtis Axel, because apparently those two teams have a feud going on. Whatever. Dolph Ziggler was eliminated. Yeah, he took a Cobra from Santino, and Ziggler was already on the apron, so when he fell down and out of the ring, he was eliminated. And of course, the crowd booed Santino for eliminating Dolph Ziggler. But that's okay, because Santino gets teamed up on by Ryback and Axel, and they ended up eliminating him. Oh yeah, Sheamus went to brogue kick Ryback, But Ryback caught him, gets him up on his shoulders, and power bombs him. So that was cool. There was a CM Punk chant. Axel gets eliminated, and then Ryback gets eliminated. And then Jack Swagger gets eliminated. Swagger was eliminated by Ambrose, and so Ambrose was over by the ropes. He turns around and gets brogue kicked by Sheamus. And by the way, those are the only two left. So Sheamus picks Ambrose up, throws him out of the ring, and Sheamus wins to become the new United States champion. Sheamus celebrates, leaves with the belt, whatever the fuck. Rollins and Reigns get in the ring with Dean, and all three of them are pissed off. But before anything else can happen, I believe it was King of Kings hits, and out comes Triple H. And he says, yeah, you Shield guys got lucky last night at the pay-per-view. But it looks like, especially here tonight with what just happened, it looks like your luck is changing. And it's going to change even more later tonight because the three of you are going to be in a 6-man tag team match against the Wyatts. And that match is going to be the main event. They hype up a segment being called The Crusade Continues. It's about Bray and his stupid message, yada yada. They also hype up a rematch from last night's Intercontinental title match. Wade Barrett and Big E, they're going to have a rematch for that, and they hype that, so, and then they cut to a commercial break. And coming back from the commercial, they play another Adam Rose video. And it says, yeah, he's debuting tonight. They took their sweet goddamn time getting to it, and it turned out to be a total anticlimax. Spoiler alert. But we'll get to that. Coming back from the commercial, we get a recap of what just happened with, Dean losing the U.S. title to Sheamus. Let me just give my thoughts on this real quick. I don't give a fuck about Sheamus. I've been very clear about that. But Ambrose hadn't been able to defend the U.S. title hardly at all because him, Rollins, and Reigns are too busy fighting off Evolution and fighting off Kane and the Outlaws before that. And before that, they were doing, all their other stuff. In all honesty, this was probably the best thing they could have done. Take the U.S. title off of Ambrose. He's already set a record by being the longest United States champion in WWE history. So that's cool. So, just take the belt off of him, let him focus on the Shield stuff, and give the title to somebody who ain't doing jack shit. And somebody who ain't doing jack shit was Sheamus. Speaking of which, after the recap of what just happened, we cut backstage to the interview area where there's Renee Young who says, my guest at this time, our new United States champion, Sheamus. And she asked Sheamus, how do you feel? What do you think of what just happened? And Sheamus says something to the effect of, since I came back from that injury, I've just been spinning my wheels. Yeah, you have. Because the WWE didn't know what the fuck to do with you. Because their creative team are fucking morons. And Renee follows up by asking, do you have anything to say to Dean Ambrose, the former champion? And Sheamus says, no hard feelings, fella. So, yeah, whatever. That's pretty much the end of that. We get a picture recap of the Bryan and Kane match from the pay-per-view last night, showing, the brawling backstage, the stuff with the car, the forklift, of course, the big flying headbutt from the forklift, the table spot, the flaming table spot, and I found out what actually happened. You might remember from the Extreme Rules video last night, I said Kane and Bryan were both on the apron, and Bryan did something, and Kane fell backwards and went through the table. Apparently what happened is Bryan grabbed the ropes, and since Kane was holding onto the ropes too, Bryan grabbed the ropes and pulled it backwards, and that shook Kane off, and he just kind of fell. Which, okay, yeah. Because there's a classic spot in wrestling where, you know, guy's standing on the apron, he's holding onto the top rope, the other guy is inside the ring, and he'll grab the ropes and jerk it towards himself, and the other guy will flip over into the ring. So this was kind of the opposite of that. So, okay, but whatever. We get to pick recap of that, whatever the fuck. We cut backstage to what looked like the office at first, but apparently it was only a locker room. And there's Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella. And they're standing there, and they look like they're on edge because they're probably still freaking out over Kane. And there's a pounding at the door. And then the door opens, and there's Stephanie. And she says, yeah, sorry, I, kind of knock hard sometimes. I'd like to knock you hard. Knock your fucking teeth out, you dumb little bitch. She says, Kane's on the loose, I don't know where he is, and I'm really scared of what he's going to do, and I don't want him to hurt you or Brie. Obviously, she don't really care. She tells Bryan and Brie to stay in this locker room until Bryan's match later on. And Bryan and Brie are like, okay, and so Stephanie leaves, and then Brie goes, look, and the camera looks over, and there's a Kane mask on the wall. Like, not like Kane's actual mask, but like a toy mask. And this comes back up, so don't worry about that. Cutting back into the arena, RVD's music hits and he comes out, and then they cut to a commercial break. Coming back, Paul Heyman comes out onto the stage, and guess what he does? My client, Brock Lesnar, and I want to choke you to death! Shut up! Finally, he gets around to introducing Cesaro, and we get the air raid siren. You know what? I'm actually kind of starting to like Cesaro's new music. And I think it was something funny. I think they mentioned it last night at the pay-per-view. It was supposedly a tweet that Heyman put out that said, when you hear the sirens, seek cover. Or seek shelter or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, because Cesaro's going to fuck you up. And he proves that here. So yeah, Cesaro comes out, and we get a match between RVD and Cesaro. It was a decent match. Let's see. Cesaro catches RVD and does the tilt backbreaker thing. RVD hits the Rolling Thunder. There's a Cesaro chant. RVD does a flip senton out of the ring onto Cesaro. And then he follows it up with a moonsault from the apron. And then there was another CM Punk chant. Then they cut to a commercial break. Came back. Back in the ring, Cesaro had knocked RVD down somehow and did that big double stomp on his chest. God, I love that move. They just stomp all the wind out of your lungs. You get... Ugh. It was like when Kaval or Low Key did, he did the top rope version, and it was brutal. Jesus Christ. Anyways, RVD went for a springboard crossbody out of the corner, but as he turned around to do it, Cesaro twists and uppercuts the shit out of him out of midair. RVD ends up in a different corner. Cesaro comes charging, big spinning uppercut, just fucking again. Cesaro does his three amigos, the triple deadlift gut wrench suplex. And then Rob gets caught in the Tree of Woe. And what ends up happening is Cesaro goes out of the ring while Rob is still in the Tree of Woe, and he just starts hammering on Rob. He's just like elbows to the face and just punching him, and the ref counts 1, 2, and of course, he gets up to 5, Cesaro won't break, and so the referee calls for the bell, DQ. RVD wins by DQ. Cesaro just keeps beating the fuck out of Rob, until finally Heyman comes running over and he says, stop, you don't want to get suspended, stop, just stop, it's okay. You know, Heyman gets him to stop and Heyman and Cesaro leave. And, I guess the ring doctor or whatever comes over and they're checking on RVD and he looks totally out of it. Like, again, I really don't like the DQ finish, but this puts Cesaro over as this beast who's just beating the shit out of people. So, I guess I can be okay with it. As the docs are still checking on RVD, we get the Wyatt cut. And Bray says, Albany, we're here. And it cuts out again to a commercial. Coming back from the commercial, I think they did the Wyatt cut again, and all three of those douchebags are in the ring, and Bray's sitting in his rocking chair. And he starts cutting a promo. He starts talking about the pay-per-view, you know, beating Cena and whatever, and they show a clip from the pay-per-view last night of little Johnny singing in his demonic voice, creeping the fuck out of Cena, and allowing Bray to get the win. And it cuts back to Bray, who continues talking. And he actually managed to say something that wasn't complete dog shit. I think he was saying, you know, John Cena tells everybody that I just want to watch the world burn. That's actually true. I do want to watch the world burn. So it can be reborn in his image, the image of Wyatt. And he used the analogy, he's like a farmer who, if the crops aren't doing so good, I'll burn them down so that we can replant them. We want to rebuild the world in Bray's image. Ugh. And he says that he truly is a god. And he sings his stupid whole world in his hands thing. And they do the cutaway gag again. And we get more hype for the Intercontinental title rematch, Barrett and Big E. And more hype for, of course, the main event, the Wyatts versus the Shield. And they cut to commercial break again. Coming back, Ryback and Axel are in the ring. And then the Cody Goldust Mega Mix hits and the two of them come out. And this is apparently going to be a one-on-one match, Ryback and Cody. But as the Rhodes are coming out, we get a recap from the Battle Royal earlier of Cody and Goldust being eliminated by Ryback and Axel. So apparently, you know, whatever. But anyways, we get the match, Cody and Ryback. It was a boring match. And it was meh. Cody hits an ugly, shining wizard. And then he hits a disaster kick. And the finish of the match comes, and yeah, this is the only frickin' noteworthy parts of this match. Cody goes up to the top rope. I don't know what the fuck he was going to do, but on the outside, Goldust and Axel got into a fight, and what happened was Axel rams Goldust up against the turnbuckle post, the same one that Cody was standing on. And even though these things are like rock solid, they don't move. Somehow, Goldust being rammed up against the post shook Cody loose. He kind of stumbled a little bit, and he fell forward. Ryback catches him on his shoulders, perfect position, hits the shell shock. and Ryback gets the win. I'm pretty sure the crowd was dead. By the way, the crowd in Albany tonight was shit. You know, aside from a couple of good chants, these guys chanted some really stupid shit too. Anyways, moving along, cutting back to the locker room from earlier, there's Daniel Bryan and Brie again. And they're just kind of standing around when all of a sudden the lights go out. And Brie screams. And I'll have more on that later. The lights go out, and Bryan's like, shit, we need to get out of here. Of course, he doesn't actually say shit, but, you know. The two of them go out of the room. The camera turns around and looks back at the Kane mask, which has lit up somehow. Big red light. Anyways, the two of them start going down the hallway, and they come across Stephanie, who's like, well, I thought I told you to stay in the locker room. And they're like, yeah, but we couldn't because, you know, the lights went out. Or not really, because they're like, we know you know what's up, bitch. You know, stop trying to play us. And Stephanie's like, okay, fine. If you want to leave, I'll go out to the parking lot and I'll get your car. And we'll have that brought right back into the back of the arena and you can leave. Which is stupid considering what she does later. But anyways, she walks off and we cut to another commercial break. Coming back from the commercial, we get the Raw Rewind, which features clips from the WLC match from the pre-show last night. And that's basically just a segue into cutting live back into the arena. The Matadors and El Torito are in the ring, and there's, what are they called? Piñatas. You know, because it's Cinco de Mayo. And, the Matadors actually talk. Very poorly. Very stereotypically poorly. The one of them can't say WWE Universe right. He keeps saying WWE Juniverse. And then the other one starts correcting him. No, it's Universe. That's what I said, Juniverse. Please, stop this gimmick. It's racist. It's terrible. You're making Zeb Coulter look like a genius. Come on. Ugh. El Torito is throwing candy into the crowd. 3MB's music hits and they come out. And Slater says, we'd like to offer you guys a truce. But it's not really so much as we're offering you a truce. You don't really have a choice. Either you do this or we're going to beat you up. Yeah, like that's going to work. Whatever. Torito comes over with a handful of candy and he offers it to Hornswoggle. Hornswoggle takes one, unwraps it, puts it in his mouth, spits it out, and then punches Torito in the face. And the two of them start fighting. And then a big brawl breaks out between all of them. And what ends up happening is Torito gets Hornswoggle up on his shoulders and gives him an airplane spin. And then he gores him. And that's basically it. And the Matadors and Torito celebrate, whatever the fuck, moving on. More hype for the Intercontinental title rematch. More hype for the Wyatts and the Shield. And we cut to another commercial break. Coming back, we get another Bo Leave video. Cutting into the arena, Kofi is already in the ring. Kofi Kingston. Kofi the Jobber Kingston. And I'm thinking, who's he gonna job to, since he already got the jobber entrance? And then Justin Roberts says, please welcome the Ravishing Russian. And I'm like, oh. Lana comes out and she starts talking more about, what's Vladimir Putin, you know, the president of Russia. And she even mentions Edward Snowden, saying, yeah, Russia offered him asylum and your secrets are safe, and whatever. She finally introduces Rusev, who comes out again to crickets because nobody fucking cares about this guy. And of course, what we get is another shit squash match. And I'm thinking, wow, Rusev really doesn't seem to like black people. Last couple of weeks, he's been beating up Xavier Woods and R-Truth, and now this week, it's Kofi Kingston. Is he supposed to be racist? Great, he can join Zeb and Jack Swagger, and yeah, that won't work because they're the real Americans. But I was also thinking during this match, Kofi's getting his ass kicked. Rusev had problems with Truth and Woods. How come Truth and Woods don't come out and help Kofi? That would be interesting, right? You could have the formation of a new Nation of Domination, which has been an idea that I've been wanting to see for a while, because honestly, if you know your history, well, that one's far-fetched, but if you know your history, the Nation of Domination was started as an all-black stable, and then it branched out into other races too. But it was mainly just used to give some of the black superstars something to do because creative didn't really have anything else for them. Well, we've yet again got a bunch of black superstars who aren't really doing anything, especially after something that comes up later on, and I'll get back to it then. But yeah, why not use this? And there's even a theme mashup on YouTube. You can find it. I can't remember the guy who did it, but probably one of the big mashup guys that does these on YouTube. If you don't know what the mashup is they'll take two different theme songs and they'll mash them up, kind of mix them together to make it sound good. Well, this guy took Ezekiel Jackson's theme music, who, if I'm not too badly mistaken, I think I heard that he was released a couple of days ago. But they took his theme song and mixed it with the Nation of Domination music. And it sounded great. So you could honestly use that as the new version of the Nation's theme. You could have Kofi in it. You could have Xavier Woods and R-Truth in it. And the other guy I said I was going to get to in a minute, but I'll get back to that. You could have him in there too. What other guys could we put in there? I don't know. But the Nation of the Domination is where The Rock got his big break. You know, they started building him up as this big heel, and he finally went solo, and he became one of the biggest superstars in WWE history. So, fuck. Why not try it again? If nothing else, it'll give these guys something to do. But then again, it would mean they'd all have to turn heel, because the Nation was very much a heel faction. By the way, did you happen to notice how I completely stalled away from talking about this shit match with Rusev? Yeah, I don't really want to talk about this ugly son of a bitch. It's a squash match. It goes about as well as you think it might. Kofi got in some offense, but he goes for a top rope crossbody. Rusev catches him and does the big fall away slam thing. And then he does his big swinging slam, and he locks Kofi in the Accolade, and Kofi taps out like the little bitch that he is. And Rusev wins. And the crowd's dead, like every time Rusev wins. WWE, will you please take the hint? Nobody likes this guy. He is a boring, ugly hoss. Keep Lana and get rid of Rusev as fast as possible. Moving on. they show more shit from the WLC match last night. And then we cut backstage to Daniel Bryan and Brie going out to the car. They get in, and they're getting ready to leave, and then all of a sudden there's another pounding at the window. It's Stephanie again, and she's like, yeah, sorry, hard hands or some shit, whatever the fuck. And she says, Bryan, I can't let you leave because your match is up next, and if you leave without competing, I'll take that as a breach of your contract, and I'll have to strip you of the WWE World Heavyweight title. And so Bryan's like, okay, fine. And he grabs Brie and he's like, let's go. And they cut to another commercial. Coming back from commercial, Alberto Del Rio is already in the ring. And then Bryan's music hits and he comes out with Brie. And we get a match, obviously. Which turned out to be a decent match, but it was still pretty boring, and that's probably because of Del Rio. There was Daniel Bryan chant. Bryan did his repeating chest kicks, but when he went for the roundhouse, Del Rio ducked it, jumped up, and hit the backcracker on him. Commercial break. Bryan hits the big flying Benoit headbutt, and 2 corner drop kicks, and then he does the suicide dive. And he locks Del Rio in the yes lock, and Del Rio taps out like the bitch that he is, and Bryan wins. And so Bryan and Brie celebrate for a minute, and then all of a sudden the corner posts blow up with Kane's pyro, and Kane's music starts playing, and the lights and everything. And Bryan and Brie get the hell out of Dodge. They run out of the ring, up the ramp, through the curtain, and backstage, where they go out to the parking area where the car is waiting. They get in. Bryan goes to start the car, and it won't start. He gets out, and he pops the hood, and he looks at it, and he checks the engine, and he says, there's a wire that's unplugged. And so he's like, okay, I got it. And by the way, this whole time... No, wait, not yet. Just a second. Bryan's like, yeah, okay, I got it. I got the plug plugged back in. He slams the hood closed, and inside the car, in the back seat, you can see Kane sitting there. And Bryan's like, Brie, look out! And she turns around and she starts screaming her freaking head off. But she's such a terrible actress, it sounds awful. So Kane tries to grab Brie. Bryan runs over, opens the back door, tries to grab at Kane, but Kane kicks him off, comes out, and they start fighting for a minute. I think Kane got knocked down, and Bryan jumped back in the car to take off, but Kane jumped on top of the car. Car takes off anyways, and Kane falls off the back, but the car immediately stops. Bryan gets out. By the way, Brie is still screaming this whole fucking time. Bryan gets out and she's like, Bryan, what are you doing? Get back! Bryan goes over to look at Kane, who's laying flat on his back. And of course, Jason Voorhees' spot, he sits up. Brie starts screaming again. Bryan jumps back in the car. And Kane gets up and runs after the car, but the car takes off and Kane's... Fuck off. I don't buy this shit, okay? Bryan beat Kane clean last night. Ooh, he's a monster. He's a demon. He wasn't very demon-like after fucking Bryan splattered his brains with that tire iron. And he wasn't very demon-like on Raw last week when Bryan blasted him in the face with a wrench. It seems like big metal tools are Kane's kryptonite. You hit him in the head with a metal tool, a tire iron, or a wrench, and he's out like a light for at least 5 seconds. Start carrying around a steel dildo. blast him in the face with it anytime he shows up. And that gives you 5 seconds you can run away. Moving on, they cut to commercial, of course. Coming back from the commercial, we get another Adam Rose video. And we also get a recap of what just happened. Finally, it's time for the Intercontinental title rematch. Big E comes out, and then Wade Barrett comes out, and he gets his pyro again. And he cuts another promo. I didn't even hear what the fuck he said. I think there was something about reconstructive facial surgery or some shit. Like, yeah, Barrett, with your crooked nose, you could use some reconstructive surgery, you ugly, limey prick. We get the match. Really not that great of a match. I suppose it was decent. Barrett does the Cactus Jack elbow drop from the apron to the floor on Big E. Shortly after that, there was a commercial break. And coming back, Big E was able to come back, and he went for his crossover splash that he's been doing lately. But Barrett counters it by getting his knees up. Barrett hits the Winds of Change. There's a CM Punk chant. And then Big E went for his apron spear that he's been doing lately. But as he comes running at Barrett, Barrett sticks his knee out, and Big E runs face first into it. And so, yeah. Barrett flips his elbow pad inside out, and he gets back into the ring. He goes for the bullhammer elbow, but Big E ducks it, and they both bounce off of opposite ropes, and I think Big E just clotheslined the fuck out of him. I think clotheslined him over the top rope, and Barrett landed on the apron again, and so Big E goes for the apron spear again, and he hits it this time. Back in the ring, Big E does 2 big exploding overhead belly-to-belly suplexes. And then he pulls his straps down. He's going for the big ending. He gets him up. Barrett gets out of it by raking Big E's face or something. He falls down. I think he kind of clocked the referee, because the referee went down. But Barrett comes back out as Big E turns around. Big E was kind of blinded because Barrett's finger went in his eye or something, so he was kind of blinded. Big E turns around, eats the bullhammer elbow. Barrett covers him, 1, 2, 3, match is over, and the crowd didn't fucking care. They were dead. Again. Moving on. Apparently, tomorrow night on Main Event, John Cena is going to respond to Bray Wyatt, what he said earlier. So, in a rare appearance on Main Event, we're going to see John Cena. Not like I care, because I don't even watch Main Event. And at this rate, I might stop watching Raw. I've got more important shit I could be doing. After that, we get another recap of the U.S. title battle royal earlier. And then we get hype for the Shield versus Wyatts main event, and we cut to another commercial. Coming back from the commercial, the Real Americans music hits, and out comes Jack Swagger with Zeb Coulter. And Swagger is carrying a sign that says, I think it says Zeb's deportation list. And the two of them get in the ring, and Coulter starts talking. And they start going over this deportation list. Swagger turns the sign around, it's got a list on it. And it said, who all was it? Cesaro, of course. There was somebody else, I can't remember. But then it said Emma and Santino. And that fuckstick Coulter has to say, why don't you hop on a kangaroo and go back to Australia, Emma? Yeah, because that's actually a thing in Australia, riding fucking kangaroos. And who else were the other two people? Oh yeah, Sheamus and Paige. And he said those two, for no other reason than they're both pale as hell, and they haven't seen the sun in like years. And I'm like, You know, if we're on the subject of personal appearance and hygiene or whatever, Zeb, your mustache needs a trim. So before you go knocking somebody else's appearance, shave, you ugly bastard. Pot calling the kettle black, okay? You have no right to say anything about somebody else's appearance when you look like a fucking hobo in your fisherman's jacket and your scraggly mustache. Ugh. But anyways, Zeb is finally shut up by this weird, goofy carnival music, it sounded like. Guess who's finally debuting? Out come the party people from the Exotic Express. And they're all dancing around, and then they part the ways. Adam Rose's music hits, and he finally comes out. Dancing away, sucking on his lollipop. And he gets up on the apron, jumps up to the second rope, and then just falls straight backwards, and the party people catch him. So it's like a trust fall. They carry his ass around the corner of the ring all the way to the other side where they put him back on the apron, and this time he gets into the ring. And, let's see, Zeb tries to say something, but Rose grabs him by the mustache, and, he grabs the microphone from Zeb, and he says his stupid catchphrase, "Don't be a lemon, be a rosebud." Swagger attacks Rose, but Rose, I think, dipped his shoulder, pulled down the rope, and Swagger goes flying out of the ring because he's a total bitch at this point. The party people jump into the ring with Rose, and they're all celebrating again. And Rose, I think, got back up. He get onto the top rope, and another trust fall. He falls back onto the party people, and they catch him. And that was it. They cut to a commercial. So yeah, like I said, total anti-climax. You hype this guy up for weeks. It's party time all the time. He comes out, grabs Coulter by the mustache, throws Swagger out of the ring, and gets crowd surfed by a bunch of drugged up idiots. Because that's basically what they're implying with this shit, this whole gimmick. All these people on drugs. Honestly, I could probably go for some right about now, if anything, to make this show more tolerable. I should have fucking made one of my milkshakes. Anyways, moving on. Coming back from the commercial, they announce that Sheamus will defend his newly acquired United States title on SmackDown. Unfortunately, they don't say who against. They just say he's going to defend the title. Okay, great. Hopefully it's going to be a rematch against Ambrose. But then again, we don't really want Ambrose to get the title back because, like I said, this is probably what's best for everybody. Give Sheamus something to do, and gets Ambrose to be able to just focus on the Shield stuff. Anyways, but after that announcement, the Wyatt music hits, and out come those three stooges. And then the Shield comes out, and before the match even starts, we get another big brawl. But the match finally starts, and like I said, this is the main event, so this is the last thing. The match was okay, but immediately the moron crowd starts chanting, "This is awesome." And I'm like, the match just fucking started. Nothing's even happened yet. How is this awesome? You people gotta give the match a minute to get good. By the way, it actually wasn't so great at the start. It was rather boring until we finally got some interesting shit. Let's see. Ambrose puts the figure 4 on Rowan, and I think he immediately had to break it up because Harper and Bray got in the ring, and so Rollins and Roman came in as well, and we had a stare down between both teams, and then it cut to a commercial break. After the commercial break, Rollins came in, and did a big, huge flip senton, running out of the ring, diving out of the ring, on top of Harper and Rowan. And he landed on his feet. And Rollins was going crazy after he got tagged in. Let's see. There was something. Oh, yeah, he was on the top rope. Let's see. He had, I think it was either Harper or Rowan. I can't remember who. But he had one of them down. He jumps up to the middle rope, springboards off of it to go for like a moonsault. But I think it was Rowan, rolled out of the way, but Rollins changes gears and he lands on his feet. And he hit Rowan, knocked him back down, and then he came running and did a standing shooting star. So that was cool. And what ended up happening was Rollins went for a springboard from the apron, but Harper was legal at this time. Harper grabbed him from the from on the top rope where he was, because he was in the middle of springboarding. He grabs him and just kind of shoves him, so Rollins goes flying and he splats on the mat on the outside of the ring. And then Harper came running and did his suicide dive, which throws Rollins up against the announce table. And then, let's see what happened. Rollins was down in the corner. And they did this spot where Harper grabs him by the legs and goes to pick him up, but ends up flipping him over, and Rollins lands on his feet. But as he lands on his feet, he takes like a step forward, and Harper super kicks him in the face real fucking hard. Yada yada, there was more shit. The crowd started chanting, "We want tables." I think what it was is because there was kind of like a big brawl on the outside. Ambrose and Bray and the other Rowan, I think, and Roman, and the announce table had gotten cleared off, and there was all this other goofy shit, so they're like, "We want tables." Anyways, back in the ring, Rollins comes flying off the top rope with the big flying knee shot. Roman came in, and he was going crack happy on all of the Wyatts. He was just laying out everybody. And he gets Bray throated on the bottom rope, and so he goes out of the ring, and I think he ducked a clothesline from somebody, but he goes around, he does the apron drop kick on Bray. And he goes to do the Superman punch on Bray, but I think Rowan grabbed his leg to stop him. And so we wound up with a big friggin' brawl going on. And Ambrose and Rollins do a big double dive out of the ring on Harper and Rowan. And then Roman hits the Superman punch on Bray back in the ring. And so the Shield are standing tall. They go to hit the Fall of Justice on Bray. You know, they get him. They're about to do it. Roman, woo, and all his stuff that he's been doing. They go to set it up. Evolution's music hits. And the three of those bald douchebags come out. And again, as they're getting ready to get into the ring, Ambrose and Rollins hit Harper and Rowan, who fall off the apron into the Evolution guys. And then Ambrose and Rollins do another big double dive out of the ring on top of all of them. And Triple H had gotten in the ring, but he ate a Superman punch from Roman, and so he fell out of the ring. But this is enough of a distraction. Bray comes out of nowhere and nails Roman. I think he basically just clotheslined him or something. Picked up Roman, cinches him up for the Sister Abigail, plants him with it. 1, 2, 3, and the Wyatts win. And once again, the crowd is dead. Because number one, interference from the Evolution should have been a disqualification. Where's your continuity? Anyways, the Wyatts piss off, but Evolution ain't done yet. They get back in the ring and they start beating the shit out of the Shield. Rollins gets set up on the top rope by Randy, and Randy grabs him by the head and plants him with the DDT off the top rope. The big corner slung DDT. Triple H goes to hit the pedigree on Roman, but Roman backdrops him. But he turns around and immediately eats an RKO from Randy. And then Triple H gets up even more pissed off. He hits the pedigree on Roman anyways. And then finally, Batista, who had been beating the shit out of Ambrose on the outside of the ring, Batista finally gets back in the ring. And so I guess he's not quite gone just yet to go film his movie or whatever it is his punk ass is doing. They get back in the ring, and Batista, woo, mimicking Roman, and he even gives him the big thumb down pose. And so Triple H and Randy get Roman up on Batista's shoulders, and the three of them give Roman the fall of justice, the big triple power bomb. And for another 2 minutes, this Evolution is just celebrating in the ring, and there's a camera shot of Roman's face, who appears to be bleeding from the mouth. And that's the end of Raw. This episode of Raw fucking sucked. It was boring as shit. We have the anticlimax of Adam Rose. Oh yes, and I said I was going to get back to the other guy that should have been in the new nation. Big E. He's obviously not going to be in the Intercontinental title hunt anymore. He gets beat by Barrett. So let's see, you could have 4 guys now. Kofi, Truth, Woods, and Big E. And I'm sure you could find some others. But these guys all turn heel. And they just start tearing across the roster, just beating people up and by any means necessary. You know, that kind of shit. Fucking hell. See, once again, I'm already coming up with better ideas than the entire creative team in the WWE. You fucking jerk off Hollywood writers. You come from your stupid TV shows. You don't know how to write wrestling. You don't know how to book wrestling. But it's not wrestling, it's sports entertainment. Shut the fuck up. I really want the WWE to die at this point. It's so bad. And I'm sick of wasting my time with this shit. And again, I just cannot wait for Global Force Wrestling to come up and start doing shows. Anyways, as we normally do, let's recap all the different matches. And then we'll wrap this shit up. Show starts off with the big 20-man over-the-top rope battle royal for the U.S. title. Sheamus wins and is your new champion. RVD then defeats Cesaro by disqualification because Cesaro was a total beast and wouldn't stop beating RVD's head in. Can't blame you, Cesaro. Ryback defeats Cody Rhodes in a boring match. Rusev, and oh yeah, it seems like they have dropped the Alexander from Rusev's name, because when Lana announced him, she just said Rusev. She didn't say Alexander, just Rusev. So, looks like his Alexander got thrown the way of Langston and Antonio. Rusev defeats Kofi Kingston in a shit squash match. Daniel Bryan defeats Alberto Del Rio in a decent but still kind of boring match, which was at about 10 o'clock. So, again, our WWE World Heavyweight Champion can't even main event the show. The more important thing is the Shield and the Wyatts. But anyways, Wade Barrett defeats Big E in a rematch for the Intercontinental title. Match was okay, I guess. And then, yes, the Wyatts defeat the Shield after some stupid interference from fucking Evolution. And big beatdown on the Shield to end the show. We got nothing from the Divas tonight. We also got nothing from John Cena. Now, obviously, that's a good thing for me, because the more I can miss out on John Cena, the better. And the same thing for the Divas, honestly. Although, had it been a Paige match, probably would have been okay, at least. But if it was anybody other than Paige, it probably would have been a train wreck, like it usually is. So yeah, that was Raw from Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, 2014, from Albany, New York, the Times Union Center. I'm going to get back to trying out my new racing wheel that I got, playing Forza Horizon with it and shit. And I'd also like to take an opportunity to suggest anybody who's interested in some different wrestling sort of booking, if you might, I'm sure people thinking like, oh, you knock the creative department in the WWE all the time, what the hell do you know? Well, I've probably mentioned this before, but I have another show where I play TEW 2013, and I'm running Wrestling Society X in a rebirth. I've only done a couple episodes, and I've been away from it for a while, but I'm planning to get back into it very soon. And I've got a whole new game plan. I'm going to make sure things go a lot smoother this time. So yeah, if you're interested, take a look at that. That's it for Raw. That's it for this episode of the Wrestling Rant tonight. Thank you for watching. Join us next time for the SmackDown spoilers, which again will probably be either tomorrow night or Wednesday, maybe Thursday, I don't know. This episode of Raw was really boring. Like I said, I feel like I took a truckload of Ambien. So bored. Like I said, thanks for watching. Join us next time for the SmackDown spoilers, and we will see you then for that. Thank you, and good night.